Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei Extras. Today we're going to be looking at the MCC teams for MCC Double Date taking place on February 14th, Valentine's Day 2026. To start things off, we have the Red Rabbits consisting of Forcivit, Ish13C, Cambam, and Scott's Major. The gimmick for this event is that every team consists of two duos that signed up for this event as a duo. It's not just Scott putting like random people on teams together. This was Forcey and Ish signing up as a duo, and of course Cam and Scott signing up as a duo as well, which is really cool. This team is pretty solid. Forcey is one of the newer good players in MCC, paired up with Ish, who is one of the newest players in MCC, together with Cam and Scott, who of course are an actual couple. Scott being obviously the most experienced MCC player, and then Cam, who's also relatively new to the event as well. Should be interesting to see how this team performs. We have a live still member, we have a live series member, we have a affiliated creator, in Skyblock, I think, or not Skyblock. They're in other SMPs, and then Ish, who's, made a very successful big video. So a cool crossover here as well. Up next is the Orange Ocelots, consisting of Cookie God, Hannah XX Rose, Michaela, and Amesy. What a interesting team, to say the least. A lot of people expected Hannah to sign up for this event, but didn't really know who Hannah would be paired up with. Turns out that Cookie God is Hannah's duo for this event, which is interesting. Cookie says on the right here, "My first ever E-date." Isn't that just lovely? Anyways, the rest of the team, of course, with Michaela and Amesy, fun duo. We thought Amy would potentially sign up with Gucky, but it turns out that Amy and Michaela are paired up for this event, and that's fun. This should be a really fun POV, a very energetic POV probably as well. And I'm curious to see how Cookie God will perform, as this is his second MCC ever. First time he played was at the end of 2024, and he did alright. He got like middle of the board, so curious to see how he will do as a second frag this time around as well. Next up is the Yellow Yaks, consisting of Avid MC, Marmalade, Firebreath Man, and Ghosty Fruit. Marmalade is a newcomer for this event, who is, as far as I'm aware, Avid's partner. If that's incorrect, please do correct me. Regardless, Avid is one of the more recent additions to MCC, which is very fun, and then Marmalade, of course, being a newcomer, it's also very exciting. And then we have Shane and Haley, who are also a couple. Shane being one of the best MCC players in the roster total, and then Haley, who's relatively recent in terms of MCC, players, joined at the end of 2024, same time as Cookie God actually, has been playing a lot since and has had mixed performances due to the position at which she's placed in the team balancing. Sometimes she's the top frag, sometimes she's number 2. This time around she's paired up with Shane, of course, who is a standout top tier player, so I'm curious to see how Haley will perform with this team. Should be really fun and exciting. Firebreath Man Ghosty Fruit is one of the most requested duos in MCC currently, at least on the Reddit, so it's exciting to see them play together. Next up is the Lime Llamas, which consists of Ant Frost, Red Velvet Cake, Infinite Drift, and Shelby. Ant and Velvet, of course, are a couple and also have played in MCC a few times in the past. I think they're teamed up for most, if not every single Pride event that they've both participated in. If that's wrong, please do correct me. I think that's true. And then Drift and Shelby, I don't know if they've teamed already, but beyond my knowledge, apparently this is a duo that makes a lot of sense. I don't know where they, are from as a duo. I'm unfamiliar, but it's fun to see them here, and Drift is one of the most recent additions to MCC as well, so it's always fun to see fresh appearances in MCC, to an extent at least. Should be fun, should be a good combination, and yeah, that's the Lime Llamas. Next up is the Green Geckos, which is the most OG team in this event. Almost every single team this event either has a new player, a recent MCC newcomer, or someone who was not playing for a while and recently returned. This is the only team where that's not the case, where every single person here is a consistent, regular MCC player and has played MCC since the first season of MCC, consisting of Captain Sparkles, Kara Corvus, CPK, and Tubbo. Jordan and Kara, of course, makes a lot of sense to be a duo here. They do a lot of stuff together. and yeah, should be expected for this event. Also have been part of one of the most iconic MCC teams, being the Crimson Krakens. So it's exciting to see them together for this event as well. And then Callum and Toby are is a duo that makes sense, but is not one that people expected. People were kind of crossing their fingers for Tubbo to be with Tommy, but I think they asked too recently, so that was not possible to happen currently. And then, Callum and Toby doesn't make sense. They are very good friends, of course, in real life as well. Makes for a pretty solid team. Very well-rounded team. The most well-rounded team probably in this event. Maybe bar purple team. We'll get to that. Should be fun. Hell yeah, W green team. Next up is the Cyan Coyotes, which consists of Beckyaman, Super Eloise, Fruitberries, and Grian. Very interesting here as well. These are two duos that make sense, but I don't think were necessarily the first expected duos from either of these groupings here. Eloise was expected to be duoed with Ollie, the Orion Sound, but Eloise and Beck, of course, makes a lot of sense to be a duo as well. And then Fruit and Grian, people kind of expected Fruit to not be in this event and then Grian to be paired up with a Hermit. However, Fruit and Grian is also one of the most iconic duos in MCC history, so it makes a lot of sense for this pairing to exist, and then them being paired up together is very fun as well. Grian was teamed with Beck most recently in MCC Snowdown, I think, the winter event. I don't know if Fruit's teamed with either Eloise or Beck before, but regardless, this should be a really fun team, and I'm excited to see how they will perform. Next is the Aqua Axolotls, consisting of Elena, Pizza Hut, Maddie Milkberry, and Pyrocythe, which is an interesting combination here. Maddie and Pyro, of course, are a couple. We did kind of expect them to appear in this event. Pyro has been recently a consistent regular MCC player. Maddie has played an MCC in the past, so it did make sense for them to be in this event. However, we kind of thought Pete would be paired up with Gumi potentially, but Pete and Elena also does make a lot of sense as they are, they have a friend group that they are a part of, so it makes sense for them to be paired up together as well. And it makes for a pretty interesting team. Pete with Pyro has happened already, but and I'm curious to see how they perform on a bit more regularly balanced team. Their most recent time that they were teamed together was a very strong team, so it should be interesting to see how they perform this time around. Hell yeah. Next up is the Blue Bats, which consists of Feinberg, Smallland, Roscumber, and Ray. This is a team that is 50% very expected and 50% completely out of nowhere. Financement was kind of leaked. Not kind of, it was leaked. Smallland, of course, was the first person to let everybody know on accident that MCC would be happening on the 14th and that it was a Valentine's or like a couples or duos type of event. And that's why we see them paired up here. It was also revealed that Fine initially asked Ludwig, and Ludwig was obviously not available because the event is on Valentine's Day. But Financement, very exciting duo to see in this event, of course. And they're paired up with Ross and Ray. Now, Ray, if you're not familiar, used to go by Setting Sunset. They played one MCC in the past, which was in the beginning of Season 5. The same event where Ross debuted, actually, as well. So it's fun to see them paired up here together. Should be interesting to see how this team performs. I think there's a lot of potential on the table here, but this is also the least experienced team in this event. Smant and Ray have only played one event before, and then Ross only played like a few events before, and then Fine has played consistently since the beginning of MCC Season 4 in 2024. However, he's the only one here that has to kind of, group everyone together and make sure everyone's ready, locked in for this event, and make sure everybody performs. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes, but it's an exciting team nonetheless, and that's the Blue Bats. Next up is the Purple Pandas. Now this is a very notable team because on paper, this should be the strongest team. Whether it actually is, we'll get to in a little bit. Now this team is very solid, consisting of Anzi Chan and Shadoon, and then Filza and Sneaksnag. Anzi and Shadoon are a couple, as the profile pictures to an extent imply, of course, and then Phil and Sneag are a very consistent duo in terms of making content together, and they're very good friends, of course, as well. Kind of on accident, Shadoon and Sneag is also a duo people kind of expected to potentially be in this event. They had a special thing going on in Twitch Rivals in the past where they were the two remaining contestants that had to, result in one winner, but they kind of went on strike and then caused the whole scene to happen, positively, of course. So it's cool to see that accidental pairing in the doubles duos events as well. Anzi-chan also playing for the second time ever, first time being MCC Twitch Rivals EU for the first time, which is the event I played in as well. So it's fun to see Anzi being brought into the roster again as well. Very peculiar because I don't actually know how good Anzi's English is. I assume it's good enough, of course, to be able to play on an English-speaking team. I just didn't know that, so I assumed for Shadun and Anzi-chan to be a duo, they'd have to be on a Spanish team, but we're proven wrong. This is a very solid team, Shadun being the top player, Sneak and Phil being a debatable second, third frag duo. Either of them could be the second frag, and Anzi-chan being the fourth frag on this team, but let that not go over your head. Anzi-chan is not a bad player at all. When Anzi played in Twitch Rivals EU, I think they got around like 20 to 25th-ish range, on a very strong team of course, but that still requires you to be at least half decent at Minecraft. And when Anzi played in Block Wars, they got 30th out of 60, which is around the middle of the board as well. I'm expecting Anzi to end at around 30th for this event, but considering the other three members of this team, that probably means this team is likely to do quite well. I don't want to say anything along the lines of they're guaranteed to get first or second. That's never really the case. You can't really fully put all your eggs in one basket. But I think this is the team that I would personally say has the most potential to get to Dodgebolt. Which leaves us with one team, the Pink Parrots, which consists of Wolfeei, Jojo Solos, Smallishbeans, and LDShadowLady. The duo that I think most people had their eyes on for this event was Joel and Lizzie. People had their fingers crossed, their toes crossed, everything crossed, in the hopes that they would appear in this event. And I said, if there's ever going to be a case where Lizzie and Joel are playing, it's going to be the pink team. Turns out they're on pink. Paired up together with Jojo and Marissa, both of these duos are actually couples. Marissa being an MCC is a very refreshing appearance. I think it's fun to see Marissa in this event, and a fun little Easter egg for those of you who may not know. Jojo and a squad made a joke application for MCC Rising either 2 or 3, I think it was MCC Rising 2, and that application was actually Jojo, Lizzie, Marissa, and Jack. So it's almost this entire team, except instead of Jack, it's Joel. Which makes a lot of sense, of course, considering the event gimmick, but fun little Easter egg. A third of this team, or 3/4 of this team, I guess, rather, did apply for MCC Rising, kind of. So that's fun. This makes for a fantastic pink team, rounds out the roster really nicely. Does leave us with a lot of regular MCC players benched, but that does make sense considering the requirement for this event was that you had to sign up with another player, which, considering the team graphics and everything else, makes a lot of sense. Now let's look at the statistics, which were posted on Reddit. These are not definitive statistics, let me remind you. These are just averages from the stats that you have available to you, I guess. And based on this, these are the results, or at least the, according to stats, expected results for this event. Putting the purple team in first, which, notably, Anzi-chan's stats are based off of just Twitch Rivals, which a Twitch Rivals MCC only has 6 games, so it's kind of hard to judge stats. I don't know if they're adjusted, I don't know how that works, but that's the stats that we're working with for this event. And in second, it actually places blue team, which is quite interesting. However, notably again, Smant and Ray have a sample size of 1. So you can't really look at the stats of a single sample size and put your money on the line to estimate that they would get here, statistically speaking. And also, Feinberg's average is astronomical, rather, compared to the other players. But yeah, it puts purple in first, blue in second, yellow in third, cyan in fourth, pink in fifth, lime in sixth, red in seventh, green in eighth, orange in ninth, and aqua team in 10th. Let me know your thoughts on the teams for this event and where you think they'll place. I personally would say that I'm expecting a purple versus yellow finale. I don't think it's guaranteed, but that's the one I feel the most confident in. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Goodbye.